This is Lake Valley, and up until last week, it had been abandoned for 2,706 days. In the previous episode, we spent time respecting the topography and deconcentrating our uses to develop this new neighborhood that is drastically better than the one that came before it. We also focused on having a rail network with appropriate slopes and an industrial district with a more reasonable layout. However, after all that work, some significant issues have emerged. Commercial does not have enough goods to sell, and the industry doesn't have enough raw materials. We're also starting to have some trash collection issues and are at the start of a death wave. In today's episode, we're going to resolve all of those issues by adding one important mod and making targeted rail improvements, collector connections between the neighborhoods, and interchange adjustments. It'll probably look like we're solving traffic issues, but honestly, we're probably going to create some new ones along the way. The judge of success today will be demand returning to the city in a significant way, the negative status is being resolved, and population growth. Hopefully significant population growth. And if you've struggled with not having enough goods to sell, hit the like button. And if you haven't but still want to know how to fix it, hit the like button for that too. And if you have nothing to say, why not drop an emoji that reminds you of Valentine's Day? And without any further ado, let's jump right in. I think that those little red icons on top of buildings are one of the most stressful things in city skylines. When you see those, you know that your building is about to abandon. And when you see that you don't have traffic leading towards that building, it can be really difficult to figure out what is wrong. So I'm excited to tackle this because I've done a bunch of research and I figured out how to resolve this. But it's going to require the use of one specific mod, and I think that that's partially because of the way that this map is laid out. So the mod that we're going to access today is the Traffic Manger CE mod. We're adding that to the build, and the main reason is its match distance algorithm. In the vanilla game, line of sight is used to figure out whether or not a building should dispatch a service to another building. And what that means is, let's say we are looking for death care, for instance. And let's say you have a death right here, and your death care facility is up here. This is, from a line of sight, closer than this death care facility. But from a pathing standpoint, it is going to be much faster for this death care facility to serve this location. So this mod solves that and would allocate this dead body to this particular crematorium. This is not a quick resolution. It's going to take a while. And the other problem is actually resolved by TMPE. So I came over to the border and I wanted to look around and see what was going on. Look at this. Train cargo owner confused. That is the owner confused. So using Traffic Manger, we can remove this vehicle. And what that vehicle was doing was basically acting like a cork. And this is going to do something major. So right here, we see that there's one train and it's here loading. But then we click over here and we've got these warehouses that are 1% full. They have been making calls for goods and not getting a response because of those confused vehicles. So I'm going to resolve this and I'm going to let you know we're going to see a crush of traffic, but don't be alarmed and don't overreact. If you have this problem, I'm here to tell you that I've overreacted to this and started to fix a bunch of traffic issues that are actually not a problem. So let's resume this and let's see the traffic begin. Okay, we are seeing some freight come through here, but I'm seeing one significant issue. These are coming out of this cargo facility and they're starting to despawn. And that's because they can't cross this road because there are so many trains coming through now, trying to respond to all of these calls. But unless these vehicles can make their way to these warehouses and all the businesses that need the goods, we are not going to see any resolution to our issue. I think we're going to have to viaduct this in a very significant way. So I'm going to pause this momentarily. And what we're going to do is basically elevate all of this over the top of these tracks. So we're going to elevate that up and then we're going to send a bridge segment over here. So that's pretty darn good. The one disadvantage is you're going to have another bridge segment here. Actually, we won't. I will put this on the ground. I think that that's likely what would happen. and we would just fill in some of this with fill. And I actually prefer this solution because we are going to viaduct on the other side as well. So if we are going to have this kind of double viaduct, let's have our bridge spans be as short as they can be. And these ones, we're not really going to have a choice. They're going to be longer. And that's one of the reasons why I took this road, which is right here, and bumped it out over here. I just think that we got a 23.8% grade right there. That's not good. 5.8 stinks for trucks, but I think we can deal with it. So then we get the 4.3 over there. We're going to take most of this and make it highway segments. That should be really helpful. And then we have one more spot over here. I noticed that for whatever reason, this is not a one-way. Let me just make this a one-way road. So now that we have that, we've got all of these vehicles. They're coming out and they're not being stopped by these trains. The trains can queue back a ways. Doesn't bother anything. We probably will need a double track at some point. But again, I don't want to overreact. We've got to remember that all of these are coming because they need to fill up all these warehouses. They need to resolve all of these issues that we're having over here. So the real question is, what can we do to continue to improve things? And I think part of it is taking care of some targeted traffic concerns that we have. And then another is, can we improve our general overall cargo network more? And I looked and I found something that I thought was really interesting. So I'm going to buy this tile, and I'm also going to buy this one. Now I bought this tile because there is a rail spur over here, and we're going to build another cargo hub right there. And I think it's going to be really helpful for us. And then right here, I bought this because we're going to adjust the highway a little bit. We're going to need access to that little area. So this is part of the exact same freight network as the other terminals, but I think it's going to be helpful to have a terminal that feeds directly onto the highway. The benefit there is that there will be no stopping if we do this right. So I'm going to start out and we're just going to plan everything out using just a basic 2U road. We'll upgrade things along the way, and this is not going to be anything fancy. And there we go. We have our first train at our new freight terminal. And look at how efficient this is. They're just going to come down here and immediately get on the highway. Now, we are going to do some significant things in just a moment, but I want to look at our traffic flow, and we're at 75%. That's not bad. The next thing I want to do is figure out what's going on here. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to look at our traffic routes. And I think that if we click in here, we're going to see some interesting things. So check this out. So I've clicked on this ramp, and what's happening is you've got a bunch of vehicles coming up here, looping back around, and then heading back out the ramp the other direction. So this is one of our bigger traffic concerns right now. And this one puzzled me for quite some time. But you come back here and it actually starts to make a lot of sense. So we've got this industrial district right here, and that is kind of disconnected. It's also attached to the airport, which has a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to need to get rid of a bunch of the stuff at the airport. The airport is a disaster anyway. If we're just being completely honest, none of this makes any sense. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Or maybe I just wasn't. I don't know. So we are going to start fresh on the airport. We're not going to do that today, but I do think that if we don't start deconstructing some of this mess, we're not going to be able to fix the build. So I'm going to get rid of all of our harbors here and then most of our zone buildings, and then try to make some sense of this area. And now I'm going to get rid of the transportation infrastructure down here. There's a lot down here that doesn't make sense. We've also got garbage down here. We're going to resolve the garbage issue, and it's not by adding a garbage to the airport. I don't know what I was thinking there. And then we get rid of that cargo terminal, that passenger rail, and we'll even remove rail generally from this area. We might bring this back. I'm not saying that this is gone forever, but it is gone for today. And then we're gonna get rid of half of this crazy roadway stuff too. I'm not gonna say that this airport is safe, but I will say that it was safer than about 2 minutes ago. So from that perspective, this is winning. So we're gonna accept this for now. But the ultimate result of what this did is it took a whole bunch of trips that were originated from an area that was controlled and dominated by the spaghetti and took it out of here. So we're gonna come back to this area in just a minute, but I want to do something that I think is even more important than what we just did. I am concerned that we have concentrated our large incineration plants over here. We've got to separate those. We've got too many trips generating from this one road right here, and that leads to a whole bunch of right-hand turns. Now, I don't think that we just solved our looping issue through here, but I am gonna double check. Yeah, the looping is still occurring. I think that the looping is occurring because of this junction right here generally. So I think that we're missing movements through here. It's basically what it comes down to. And as a result of missing movements and not being able to get from the other industrial district into this one efficiently, we're seeing looping, or get from one side of this industrial district to the other. The only way to get through here is to loop around and do a bunch of crazy highway stuff. So we're going to solve that through local connections. The very first local connection we're going to make is through here. Now, I saw your comments concerned that I was taking a sledgehammer to the build and just demolishing everything. And I assure you that that is not my intention, but I will not assure you that it's going to stop. I can't do it. We'll have to see. I'm going to try my best. Right now, though, is sledgehammer time. So what we're going to do is add a tunnel connecting from this general location to this one. And then I want to add a tunnel connecting this neighborhood to this one. Now, what this is really doing is creating a roadway hierarchy, because we're going to be creating a collector connection through here. And when we look around, the one thing you'll notice besides the lumpies and bumpies and craziness is that there is no roadway hierarchy through here. It's all local roads everywhere, intersections all over the place, and everything has the same priority. Now, in Timberborn videos, I've said that I like to prioritize everything, which means I prioritize nothing. And that's the same thing that we see here. We have the priority ending here, and then it's a free-for-all. But over here, we are going to make some suggestions about where hierarchy should be. And the way that we're going to do that is by increasing capacity, which I hate doing. In reality, you don't increase roadway capacity for the sake of it. But the reason that we're going to do this is because our higher classification roads have higher speeds. The other thing that's going to make this a higher priority and higher classification road is more directness. So we are going to make this the most direct route. And ideally, we would have less loading on this road and prioritize mobility. We're not going to do that, but it is going to provide the neighborhood to neighborhood connectivity that is the other hallmark of a collector road. So let's do this. We're going to connect this over here, and to make this happen, we're gonna have to call a little bit of a mulligan on these couple of streets. It's a slope too steep. We'll go into anarchy mode. It'll cost us 29 grand. Everything will be absolutely peachy. And then I want to go into the network multi-tool, and let's just see what this looks like. Woo! 25%. Hit enter. 0.2. Negative 0.2. So now we need to find a way to make the connection here, and this is going to involve a whole bunch of demolition. So I know I'm coming through with a sledgehammer again, but sometimes you got to have a sledgehammer to be able to come at this gently in the future. So I'm going to sledgehammer the heck out of this. So now I'm going to add some local connections through here, and we'll set priority to this road when we're all said and done. Ultimately, we just don't want to intersect this any more than we have to, but we don't want a bunch of crazy junctions through here either. So I'm going to get rid of some of these connections. Actually, we can cul-de-sac some of these if we really wanted to. All right, this is looking significantly better in my opinion. There's just a little bit more that we could do. This is a collector. We're going to be carrying lots of regional traffic. We shouldn't have any more roadway junctions here than we need. So I'm going to get rid of some that are potentially unnecessary. Now, as soon as you start adjusting the slopes, the buildings get real wonky. Like this house, look at that. Clearly, this house should not be up on this platform here. There's two ways to fix it. I could go building by building and adjust them. So I select the building, Control H it to the road, and now it looks great again. Otherwise, the easier way is probably just to get rid of it and let it grow in again. And as long as we adjust the terrain, it should be just fine. So in this location, I've gone ahead and feathered out right here. That makes it line up a bit better, and eventually it should look pretty darn good. And through here, I noticed that things weren't growing in, and I'm going to do something a little peculiar. I am going to go ahead and just replace the zoning that is missing. Whatever was there before, we're just throwing it back in. But we're going to do it because that's what the old planner did, and you know, that happens. Sometimes when you are planning for a place, you look around and think to yourself, how in the heck did anyone think that this was the right choice? We have some of those in this city, and we are going to go with it. Here's one. We have a bridge segment here. How did anyone think that that's okay? Well, no one did. It was a mistake. But this planner doesn't know that. We're just going to fix it. So there we go. We have made this a much better connection. Look at this. We've got a bunch of these little roadway segments where we could have a big awkward block, and that's no problem. And then we're cutting down the number of junctions through here, and that is what I would expect to see. There we go. That's pretty good. I think that we should be good to go there. And this is honestly where we probably have more work to do, because we've got to establish some sort of hierarchy over here. Generally, there's none at all. So we are going to probably snake our collector down here. Gives us an opportunity to get rid of all of this loopy stuff, which apparently at some point I thought was pretty neat because there's a lot of it. And I just can't stand it now. There we go. And I got rid of some of the roads going through here. Again, is this the height of realism? Probably not. But I think that it really helps us out. We don't want to have any more connections than we have to have on a collector like this. So we've just thinned them out a bit. And I think that it's going to improve overall traffic flow. And this will be a much safer road because that's certainly a consideration. The other thing that we're going to need to think about is how lumpy and bumpy this is. Look at that. That is kind of a brutal road. And with a higher classification of road, you'd want it to be as smooth as possible. You'd want to get rid of some of these gigantic slopes. So we are going to do that. And you see that this road right now is jumping up and down. I really just want the segment from the tunnel to be as smooth as possible. We can have some lumpies and bumpies after that, but coming out of a tunnel, the last thing you want are surprise vision issues. Through here, we're going to just run this all the way up here until we get to where we think there would be a logical end for this neighborhood connection, because it would meet another neighborhood connection. So as I come here, I think that it's either here or here. For now, I'm just going to extend this to here. It'll do the trick. Oh yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. That is a whole bunch of private vehicle trips going straight through this tunnel, and they're coming from everywhere. We've got our population growing again too. That is a good sign. That means we are making the right kind of improvements to get the build going again. So I think that here we make our local connection between this neighborhood and this neighborhood, and we do that by starting to rid ourselves of the spaghetti. So I want to understand how this is currently working. So I will do that by, again, looking at our traffic routes. And I know that this road right here is currently the local connection through, among other things. This road is a disaster, and it is providing some connectivity that is very much needed, but doing it in basically the worst way possible. I can't think of a worse way to provide this connectivity. And we have homes hanging off the side of the spaghetti interchange. So I'm going to de-spaghetti some of these things. We've got some tentacles here. We'll get rid of those, and it's already feeling better. Whew. We've got rid of some, but we still got a ways to go. We've got a ways to go. We'll get there though. What I want to do now is we've got this road here, and we're going to sever this. And this will be what we use to get across. Now, I'm a little bit nervous about this. We're going to see the heights. Relief negative 100 feet. That is a negative 4.3 slope. We can do this. So we're going to send this through here. And then we're going to immediately go into node controller. And it says negative 25% grade. Hit enter. Negative 4.6. That is amazing. Added bonus of this that I did not anticipate and maybe don't even want. We have sidewalks here. But folks are going to walk through there. So that is a pedestrian connection all the way through here. Added benefit. Now there is a way out. We now need to figure out what we're doing with this road. And the reason I put this here is I've got a plan. This is going to be one of the more controversial things I do in the build today. But I also think it's going to be the most important thing I do. So we're going to roll with it. So what we're going to do is take out our sledgehammer and start working. This reminds me of when I remodeled my first house. And I remember taking out that sledgehammer and I took that first swing through the wall. And I'll tell you what, there are fewer things more gratifying than that first swing and immediately terrifying right after, because you're like, man, I got to fix this now. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to watch YouTube videos and hopefully figure it out. And I watched many YouTube videos and eventually figured out a few things, but it took some time. All right, so here we're going to drop this down and make this a rational height. And our heights are really going to matter because our heights are our slopes. That's pretty good. So I'm going to immediately make a ramp to here because this is going to be our new interchange. So this bridge right here is our local connectivity between these two neighborhoods. So this is super important. What we're going to do now is make our connections across there. And we're going to do some terrain things that I promise will make you very uncomfortable. Stick with me. I know this is not going to be very comfortable, but the end is going to be worth it. So we're going to loop around here. And then I'll use the curved road tool to make our final connection. And you better believe we have anarchy on right now because there's no way we could do any of this without it. I am 90% positive we're going to eliminate a bunch of stuff through here. So we'll just leave it for now and figure out the rest later. Now we're going to do some sloping. And it's going to be extreme sloping City Skylines edition. So let's go through here and select all of this stuff. Boom, knock that up. It's still 19%. That's crazy. We can't do that. And then I'll run it right through here. Okay, well, maybe that was a little more than I was hoping, a little more than I bargained for, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so now we are at a point where we can get rid of these buildings and basically redo everything here. And the way that we're gonna do that is gonna be the most simplistic way possible. We're gonna go into move it, and I want to select buildings. I want to be really careful not to select the police, fire, or any other city services. So I'm just going to come through here. We're going to select these and then we just delete this all at once. I'm going to pause it because we deleted these for a reason. So now that we have those gone, we can fix our terrain through here. So fill it in a little bit. And now you might have noticed me doing this. So I'm popping through here and just selecting the nodes and they're sloping as I select them. The reason that's happening is inside of node controller, I have selected node is sloped by default. So if I build a new road, the node will be sloped. And if I want to fix an old road, I just control N into node controller, select it, and then I'm immediately right clicking out and it's fixing the node. So it's very nice. It immediately selects the slope and it can make a pretty significant difference in making some of these roads look good. So now it's time to fill this in. So we'll go in and we'll grab our soften terrain tool and feather this area out. We can even turn our brush strength up all the way to the top. And we're just going to hit every single block to try to fill it in. This will get all of our buildings at the right height. You know, and while we're over here and while we're taking some liberties, this could be a really helpful connection. I want to see where the closest connection to get up here is. It's right there. So this could be super helpful. I think we're going to do it. So I'm going to make this connection right here. And then I'm going to sever these two so we are not having a bunch of backup into the tunnel. And then because I love being realistic right now, we're going to turn this around. Whoa, that is not what I was anticipating. There we go. That's much better. I'll delete that node so we get a nice, smooth connection there. All right, now we've got this to contend with, and I think that we can really make this better. And again, we're going to do this by going into our arrange at line mode. We're going to select this node here, and I just want this to be a more gentle curve. And I'm going to improve this as well. And I'm going to do that by manually adjusting a few of these things. There we go. There we go. So let's get this upgraded. We're going to make this another one of these collectors. So I think we're almost in a spot where we can resume this, although I want this power right here to make some sense. And oh, that is ugly. I think we're going to key wall this, just not for anything besides vain aesthetics. We're going to go with it. All right, so the power is all that we need here, and we should be good to go. And I think the easiest way to do this temporarily is going to be just to run one down here. This is totally unreasonable. But so is the interchange, so we're going to roll with it. All right, there we go, looking good. This will all come and fill back in. And then for the key wall, what we'll do is pop in, grab our key, and then we'll use the parallel road tool. And then I'll find those segments and just pull them up. It's just above the key wall, and it looks okay. I would really love to get rid of some of the dirt that's poking through. I don't think it's in the cards without a bunch of trickery. So we are going to leave it for the time being. I think it's fine enough. So now let's adjust over here. And I told you that I was thinking of kind of going a little hard over here. And I've settled on that. We definitely are going to. So what we're going to do is get rid of this connection. Get rid of this. At least back it out. And then I want to get rid of this whole road right here. The reason for that is I think that we need to have a cargo connection over here. It is mandatory. I'm a little bit nervous about it. The main reason is this connection right here is not connected to our other connection, which means that there's a chance that they bring cargo in here, jump on the highway, and take it over to our other cargo facility. But I think it's still worth it. So we're going to do it. It's worth the risk. We'll just have to live with the with the risk. So it appeared that we had all this space, but then you realize that we have this height issue, and we've got a firehouse right here too. And again, height of realism, we'll just relocate that so that it fits our needs, and then we'll place that right there. Now this is going to be a fairly easy connection to make, because we're using all of the mods at our disposal. That's the way it's done. So now we're going to use our arrange at line mode and get this straightened out. Maybe to here. Nope, that's too far. There's pretty good. So there we go. A nice connection through there. And you might think, boy, that is a very, very, very intense curve there. You got to remember, this is slowing down right before we get into this facility. Not a huge deal, so we should be okay. I'd like to start this over. Let's take a beat on all that. I'm going to leave this here because I think I have to, because I've got to buy that tile. What I'm going to do is try to mirror this entirely. And now I'm going to snap to angle only. Yeah, I like that a lot more. Totally unnecessary. But it is, it's my level of unnecessary that I like. So we're going to go with it. I'm going to get our curve working right. And then after that, we are going to slope this. And I basically try not to cover up that intersection right there. That should be good enough. And now we just need to make sure that we can make it over the top of this roadway segment. So I'm going to scoot this node over, holding down Alt, Control H this to here. And then we'll upgrade this to a bridge. And now I'm going to slope. We'll slope back to there and get a 3.4% grade. That's acceptable. And then we'll slope back here. I'm thinking we could go, oh, okay. 11, maybe we get a nice 1.9. That is what we're looking for. All right, so that's pretty darn good. I really wish we didn't have this little segment right there. Is it worth blowing the whole thing up? Probably not. We're going to ignore it. Otherwise, I'm going to buy that tile. And then we'll run that through. I wonder. You know what? I know that I have the money for the tile, but it's the principle. It's the principle of it all. And we got to watch that jump like that. So that was pretty fun. There we go. We got it fixed. Things are looking good. That is a slick connection through there. What is that? That is Frank's Fish Stick Factory. I highly doubt that that's what that is. And a box factory for the other one. Okay. I obviously don't know enough about industry in terms of the actual, what this would be called and what it would actually do in a functional way. And I am very curious. We're going to take a look and see where where folks are actually going from here. So some are hopping on here, going back here, and they are coming through. Yeah, so they are serving this area. There's not much that we can do about that. The one thing that we can do, though, is sever our last crazy bit of interchange here. So we'll get rid of that. And then I want to get back some of this off the highway. There we go. We could clean this up and fix this up, but I'm gonna take your guys' advice and not change it for now. Let me know if this drives you as crazy as it drives me, and seeing 2 fire stations right here drives you as crazy as it drives me. Let me know in the comments, and I will resolve some of this stuff. But I can leave it too. Either way. I am curious about this. I want to believe that this was a commercial corridor because we had a tunnel going straight through here. We're going to need to fix that after we fix the zoning back here. So as much as I want to preserve legacy zoning, this is a little more problematic. So it's problematic for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is a monster of a cul-de-sac. If we take a look at this, I think we're going to be alarmed by the distance. This is about half a mile as the crow flies. That is way, way, way too long for a cul-de-sac. This would be a safety concern. Moreover, though, it is a traffic problem right now because we have all these vehicles coming up here and looping around. I'm going to trim this. We're going to call a mulligan on this and basically cut this down to what I think is a reasonable size. And then from there, we've got to change the zoning. We can have single family homes, but we can't have shops. That doesn't make a ton of sense. That though, that's pretty good. Okay, so now I want to pop back on over here, and I just wanted to see if we were still having traffic backups. Looks like we're having some. I think that you could make the case that maybe we want to have a timed traffic light through here. So I'm going to add one of those as long as our looping is done. So I'm just going to check one more time. Our looping is done. So they're coming in here and they're not looping back out. So we've solved that major problem. When we look at our traffic flow, 74, it's dropping, like I said. But what I'm also seeing, look at this. No little negative status markers. Couple, we've needed to get a worker over here, but we've got goods. Our bodies are getting picked up. So I think what we're going to do is set up this timed traffic light, and then I want to let things run for a little while. Maybe 20 or 30 minutes to see how things change. And I think that we can get a lot of this traffic here handled with a timed traffic light. The bigger concern for me are these warehouses, 16% full, 7%. I think that we're receiving call after call after call to get these things loaded up. Over here, it's slowed down. Oh, well, it's slowed down in the cargo network, but it didn't over here at our roadway network. Oh, and it's because we're finally filling in over here. So that is why this is resolving. So before We couldn't get anything to grow over here, which is where our old cargo train was. This area wasn't filling in, and now it is as we see the population go up. So that's part of why we have this. Let's add this time traffic light and then let this run for a while. So to do this, we go into TMPE in the time traffic lights, and we control click this for a quick setup, and we're going to absolutely go with that. It's going to give us 4 phases, 1 for each leg of this intersection. I don't think we need all 4. So I'm going to stop this. And basically, the movement coming from the roundabout south is an important one. The movement coming from the interchange north is an important one. And this through movement doesn't matter quite as much. So we're going to combine that phase. So the first phase is right here. I will enable these ones as well. So we'll edit, add those. I'm going to get rid of this right. And then I'm going to say move on to the next step if no one is waiting. And we will increase this to 12 seconds from max signal time. And then we'll look at number 2, which is coming from the south. And what we want to do here, edit this one again. And after min time is elapsed, switch to the next step if no one is driving. So if there's no one coming through here, we'll do that. And I'm going to set this to be 22 seconds. So that is a max that is fairly lengthy. And then our third phase is this phase right here. We can get rid of this one. We now open up that first phase to be both. And then we've got our third phase, which is coming from the north. We're going to edit this one. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. No one is waiting, or no one is driving rather. So no one's coming through. Max time here, let's say 15. And then we're going to start this. And I just want to see, I'm going to let this go for a minute because I'm curious to see how this works. All right, I think that this is an absolutely great time to take a beat for a second, and we're just gonna let this run for a little while. I'm starting to see a whole bunch of people moving into the community, and that to me means that this is a great time to just let this run for a little bit and see if we start seeing some things filling in. All right, and that was approximately 30 minutes, and I think I compressed it into about 15 seconds. So it probably didn't look as impressive to you as it did to me over the length of time. But basically what we've been seeing is between 100 and 300 new residents moving into the community per week. We're also seeing our demand rebound, and we're getting lots of traffic through here. I think, we tried the time traffic light here. It was a nice idea. But bluntly, I think maybe a roundabout makes more sense here because we're just seeing a lot of backup. It's backing up into this other roundabout. And I feel like if we add another roundabout, we will see our traffic flow really improve through here. So I'm going to add that real quick. All right, and the roundabout's in place. I'm going to let this go for just a moment because I want to see if our traffic improves at all and see if we continue to grow. So about another 3 minutes, and then we'll have to take inventory of what we've done. And I've already seen the major issue that we're going to have now. I think that we need to cul-de-sac these streets as well. And then ensure that we have enough lanes right here because it seems as though things are bogging down just a bit right here. So I've increased this to a 4-lane road, 2 in each direction, and then we'll set this. And I'll give it just 1 more minute. All right, and this area needs some more work. I can see that this roundabout struggling. It did fix this one because the traffic got backed up. So I guess that's one way to fix it. But the other problem is I just made a gigantic cul-de-sac. We just need to address that down the line. I do want to take inventory of what we've done though, because we have made a lot of progress in the city. We've added almost 10,000 in population. There are a couple of these negative statuses popping up from time to time, but generally, I think we're in a pretty good spot. So let's take inventory of what we've done and have a brief city tour. Oh, and boy, oh boy, is it interesting. You fix a couple of things and you get some new issues. And we can see that this area right now is absolutely crushed with traffic. Now, I'm guessing that this has something to do with all the people moving in. If we were to check this right here, yeah, oh, look at that. It's all private vehicles. They're all going either to the downtown area, so they could be filling in there, or around here. Wow, they're really dispersing all over the place. Every single block, taking every single important road, every artery, every collector. Just absolutely, it's pretty wild. It is pretty wild to see where they're all going. So there's obviously more work to do, but there's one thing I really want to look at. I'm really curious about the traffic. I think it's probably 70% or below, truthfully. Wow. Well, consider me surprised. 75%. So things are about where they were in the beginning, even though this is pretty messed up. So I guess our improvements over here have done enough to get things moving in a good direction generally, but we've got more work to do. That said, we're moving in a good direction, and I think we're going to keep going down the line and working our way around here. In the next one, I think we've got to address this airport, finally get to our spaghetti interchange, and find a way to get our highway all the way around here. There's a lot of work to do, but I hope you're here with me to take care of it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed building this, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching it. If you did, please hit the like button. It really means a lot to me, and it increases the reach of the channel. I really appreciate it. And really, thank you for taking the time to watch the video today. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.